The Galactic Imperial Fleet emerged from hyperspace with devastating precision, 300 vessels strong, their hulls gleaming under the light of Earth's sun. Admiral Draz stood on the bridge of the flagship Inevitable Conquest his six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he gazed at the blue planet. Primitive, he muttered. Another world to add to the collection. For 8 centuries, the Empire had expanded through the stars, demanding tribute from every inhabited world they encountered. Those who paid lived. Those who refused were conquered or destroyed. It was a simple system that had never failed. Open communications, Draz ordered. Let us introduce ourselves to these humans. In the United Nations Emergency Assembly, representatives from all nations watched the transmission with grim faces. People of Earth, Admiral Draz's translated voice echoed through the chamber. I am Admiral Draz of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our domain. You will provide tribute of 10% of your planet's resources annually. You have 24 hours to respond. Resistance is futile and will result in your extinction. The transmission ended. Silence filled the chamber until the Secretary General spoke. Get me Director Reynolds from the Omega facility. Director Thomas Reynolds stood before the assembly 2 hours later. At 63, his weathered face showed the strain of decades spent guarding humanity's greatest secret. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. 30 years ago, we discovered something beneath the Antarctic ice cap, a vessel not of human origin. It crashed there approximately 50,000 years ago. The technology we've reverse-engineered from it has been slowly integrated into our societies as innovations to prevent panic. Murmurs spread through the chamber. What we never revealed was the warning message in its databanks. It was fleeing from the same empire that now surrounds our planet. The room erupted in chaos. Reynolds raised his hand. We have prepared for this day. Project Prometheus is ready. Admiral Draz frowned at the human who appeared on his view screen. I am Director Reynolds of Earth Defense, the man said calmly. We reject your demand for tribute. Draz's facial ridges darkened with amusement. Then you choose extinction. No, Reynolds replied. We choose to give you one chance to leave our system peacefully. Laughter erupted across the Imperial Bridge. A touching display of courage, Draz sneered. Prepare your world for orbital bombardment. Reynolds simply nodded. Remember, we warned you to run. The transmission ended. Such arrogance, Draz muttered. Begin targeting their major population centers. His second-in-command approached hesitantly. Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures, unlike anything in our records. They appear to be powering something beneath their polar ice. Irrelevant. Draz waved dismissively. No primitive world has ever. The alarms began blaring. Beneath the Antarctic ice, the Prometheus array hummed to life. 5 massive rings, each a kilometer in diameter, began spitting, generating fields that warped the very fabric of spacetime. The technology, adapted from the crashed alien vessel, had taken decades to understand and reproduce. Reynolds watched from the control room as the technicians initiated the sequence. May our ancestors forgive us, he whispered. Activate the array. In orbit, Admiral Draz watched in confusion as space itself seemed to ripple around his fleet. What is this? He demanded. Unknown, Admiral. The energy readings are off the charts. Suddenly, pinpoints of light appeared throughout the fleet, tiny tears in reality that began to expand, each one targeting an Imperial vessel with impossible precision. Evasive maneuvers. Draz shouted, but it was too late. The microsingularities emerged from quantum foam, artificially generated black holes the size of molecules that rapidly expanded upon contact with matter. The science had been theoretical, until they discovered the crashed ship with its defensive systems. Imperial vessels began to implode, crushed by forces they couldn't comprehend, pulled into microscopic event horizons that winked out of existence seconds later, taking the ships with them. Impossible, Draz whispered as his fleet disappeared around him. They're primitives. His communications officer turned, panic in his eyes. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from other Imperial fleets in neighboring sectors. This same phenomenon is occurring at every Imperial outpost within 50 light years. Draz froze. How? In the Prometheus control room, Reynolds watched as the quantum entanglement network they'd spent decades seeding throughout nearby space activated. The crashed vessel had contained not just technology, but star maps marked with Imperial outposts. The targeted singularities are stable, a technician reported. 86% of the invasion fleet has been neutralized. Reynolds nodded grimly. And the quantum beacon? Active, sir. Every Imperial vessel across the galaxy will detect our warning. Aboard his rapidly disintegrating flagship, Admiral Draz received the message being broadcast on all Imperial frequencies, translated into their language. Asterisk, this is humanity. We have remained hidden, watching your empire expand. Today we reveal ourselves. We have deployed technology that targets specific energy signatures used by your vessels. We have mapped your empire. We have seeded our defenses. We do not seek conquest. We ask only to be left alone. Any further aggression will trigger an automatic response. This is both our first and final warning. Run. Asterisk. Draz lunged for the emergency shuttle as his flagship began to collapse around him. 3 months later, the Imperial Conclave convened an emergency session for the first time in 5 centuries. The loss of 300 ships and 17 outposts had sent shockwaves through the Empire. The humans must be destroyed, demanded one counselor. The Emperor raised a hand for silence. Our probes report that their defensive system has been expanded. Any approach triggers immediate response. He paused. For the first time in our history, we will establish a permanent quarantine zone. No Imperial vessel will enter the Sol system or any system within 20 light years of it. But, Your Eminence, the tribute is not worth our extinction, the Emperor interrupted. Let the humans keep their world. The galaxy is vast, and there are easier conquests. In the shadows of the chamber, the Emperor's chief scientist clutched his datapad, wondering if he should tell his master what their analysis had revealed. The humans hadn't just found alien technology. They had improved upon it in ways the Empire's brightest minds couldn't comprehend. Perhaps, he thought, it was humanity that should be feared.